Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us on this special stream that we're doing. I'm John, and Jackie, of course, is right over here. But tonight is extremely special to me. This is it's something that we wanted to talk about for quite a bit, and we get lots and lots of emails. We get lots of messages and from people for years that are always asking, well, how do you paint? How does that work? And so tonight we actually just wanted to be able to answer questions about anything that anybody had, but I wanted to show the way that I started painting and the techniques that I use then, because it's still a nice way to get started if someone's just getting into painting, if you're visually impaired. And then, but also what we learned about how to adapt painting and everything for people with all kinds of disabilities and different things. So that's what we're going to try to work on.
Yeah. I'm sharing, and Jack's apparently coming behind me. What's going on over there? Grab what you need. What do you need?
Oh no, we're just coming in here because
okay.
I wanted to either work on the computer, so I also seemed like I was.
No,
okay.
darling. Thank you.
We'll hand the Wi-Fi over to you in just a little bit.
Oh no, it's not that. I just wanted to...
That's good, baby. In a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yes, we are. It's gonna be a different show, because you don't even have the easel in front of you.
Yeah. So there's no easel. In fact, today we're gonna blindfold Jackie, which I don't know if you've noticed on the screen. There's a slight hint.
I've even got the blindfold.
So that's gonna happen. So Jackie's actually going to do some blindfold painting. It's something that we've done with tens of thousands of people in museums and schools all across the nation. And we've Skyped people in Africa that have done it. We're here and we're saying, we're like, put the blindfold on, and they're doing it. Jackie's going to do it.
Yes, which I'm not good at it. In fact, it's funny that I'm doing it because I never have to do it. I'm usually the one facilitating it. So
you've only maybe done it once or twice, haven't you?
I've done it a few times, and then sometimes we'll do workshops where they go long, and then I'll get bored, and then I'll dive into it a little bit and get creative. But yeah, I never do this, so this will definitely be it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's good. it's gonna be good. But and one of the main things about all of this is that art really is for everybody, and art is especially for people whenever they're dealing with a challenge or struggling in something. The first time that I gave a talk and I was doing some stuff with the Metropolitan in New York, I thought, it'd be a great idea if I could look up all these different artists maybe that had disabilities. I really thought maybe there'd be a couple of them. So I thought, man, I'm gonna have my work cut out for me for this. And it quickly became apparent that it was easier to find artists that didn't have a disability, or weren't separated, or a struggle in their life for some way. Every artist had something that they were dealing with, and so many artists had disabilities. It was shocking. And the only difference between then and now is that back in the past, you wanted to try to hide that. People did not talk about it. You didn't have the support. You didn't have the community that we have now. I mean, the very fact that we're streaming this and we have people email that talk to us that are interested is just, to me, it's epic. But it's so important.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of people, Vera's joined us and says, "Hey guys, quarantine in France will finish on Monday 11th. Happy to see you."
Oh, so nice.
Yes, yay. I know things are starting to open up here as well, and so I think everybody's going to try and be careful, hopefully. And then we also have Kylie Sykes says hello to you both.
Oh, hey.
Janice Keene says hi, and Christy Harkins says, "Hi guys, I've been looking forward to this all week." So thanks for joining, everybody. You'll feel better about your creative talents once I start painting. So you're welcome.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna be so much fun though. But one of the things though that I love about art is that art is all about what you can do. So if you're a visually impaired painter, if you're a sighted painter, if you're an artist, if you're a sculptor that's in a wheelchair, if you have autism, if you have arthritis in your hands. What you can't do doesn't even enter in the equation. It doesn't matter. No one cares. It just doesn't matter. It's all about what you can do. It's, getting something done. You have this idea, you have this imagination, and you want to get it out there in some way. And that's all that matters. And, every painter, every artist that I've ever met, and let's just say artists without disabilities, um, they each of them has a different way of painting. Each of them has their own style, their own way of that they put their palette together, the colors they choose, or the brushes they choose. They make all these different choices, and of course, the ideas and the creativity they have. It's all about what you bring to the art, and art is really from your mind. Art is just communication. It's like, it's saying one thing from one person to another.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point about art. Is it's like a universal language. It's like the universal translator. You don't need to speak a language, but when you see a piece of art, you can tell feeling wise what the other person might be trying to communicate, or what it tells you about yourself, maybe.
Yeah, that's so true, and I've been blessed in some ways where I've had maybe a story is run in another place, like France or Germany or somewhere in Africa, South America, and I'll get an email, and maybe I remember this one, a gentleman from Ethiopia emailed me, and there was a paint. It was some little story that he saw, and it was a picture of me, and then way in the background was one of my paintings, and from this little thumbnail thing, and he wrote to me this eloquent statement about what I must have been feeling when I painted that, and all this, and to be honest, he was so accurate. It was like he could have been standing right behind me while I worked on the painting. It's art just transcends time, it transcends borders, language. It's just incredible. And whenever I first started teaching workshops at museums, which is about 10 or 11 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I was, maybe I lose track of time, but I used to have lots and lots of different workshops. So if I was working with soldiers that had PTSD, there would be a workshop. If it was children with a visual impairment, that would be that workshop. If it was professional artists, they were just that was their job. They would have their own slew of workshops, if I was teaching them this or that, or but what we learned though was that if we can make a workshop that was multimodal and multi-sensory, in other words, you're just using your senses, it's using all of your senses, that everybody could do workshops together, and that that's because you're just making it more like life. So in life, if you're visually impaired, then your other senses, you learn how to compensate. If you're hard of hearing, you do the same thing. If you're in a wheelchair, you do the same thing. Everybody knows how to live their own life, and they know how to use their own senses and whatnot. So why not teach art in the same way? So instead of teaching visual art where it's just all visual, we make sure that there's things to smell, things to touch, things to shoot. We've done workshops where we've had actors come in. So there was
Act
one.
like the Pope.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Pope. It was so great because there was a painting of the Pope at the Meadows Museum, which if you're ever in Dallas, go see the Meadows Museum. It's one of the best museums. They're so amazing. And but there was a painting of a Pope, and we had an actor actually play the Pope. But of course, he wasn't the Pope. But you could ask him any questions that you wanted, so it was just funny.
That was a fun one.
We've done workshops where we're talking about Italian art. We might have Bellinis. We had little things there.
Yeah,
I forget who came up with that. They're there at the museum.
My
but that was
favorite. Well,
nice.
I should say a lot of this because you worked with Carmen Smith quite a bit at the Meadows and developing all that programming. But my favorite was the one where it was, you guys chose the one painting of the woman on the balcony of the Eiffel Tower, looking at it.
Oh,
And they had all the
Paris
fabric.
Exposition of 1899.
Yeah, in the fabric from her dress, there was an example of that. So, and that was passed around the room. And then, there was the food of the time. I think there was coffee or something from thing, but it was just every sense kind of got involved in that painting, and so there was no leaving the museum and forgetting what you had done or anything. So that was great.
And what more fun? I mean, people go to museum. People get interested in art because they're interested. There's a passion. There's this So why not let people be able to touch things and smell things and taste things and all this and it's and people are laughing during this. We've never had a workshop where people weren't laughing, excited. And it's funny, most times in museums. And we do this in schools too. We've done, oh my gosh, so many schools, and but the kids are always so just excited and they're laughing and It's
Yeah.
funny because like you can always hear our group in a museum because
Yeah, we're not the quiet
yeah,
ones.
we're not
in
the quiet
corner
group. Everybody's
looking at
like
the art.
chatting and they're talking about the art, but they're engaging and they remember it. And it's so funny because like you can see one, like I remember again at the Met, because one of my favorite painters is Caravaggio. And they were like, hey, that's really cool that, because I was doing other stuff, but they were like, hey, do you want to do something like a workshop thing? And I was like, heck yeah, I mean, yes. And they were like, well, is there any paintings you want to talk about? And I said, well, I really love Caravaggio. That's crazy. And they're like, oh, great. Well, here's this one over here, and it's one of my favorite ones. I can't think of what it is right now. But it was just so cool. And
Yeah.
I forget where I was going with that because I got so excited about that.
By Caravaggio.
I did. I got
Ron Captain
chiaroscuro and blinded. I was blinded by the lights.
Ron Captain has joined us. Says hello, guys.
Hey, Ron.
And Celia Hughes says hi, folks.
Celia Hughes. Oh my goodness. Well, and Ron, guys, thanks so much for joining us. And and tonight is really special because and I'm sorry if I start going off on a rant. I'm just extremely excited about all this. Whenever I first started painting, I never thought that anybody would ever even want to see a painting of mine. And then it turned into a full-blown art career, and it's taken us to like 120 countries around the world.
Taking your art.
Taking the art, yes. Unfortunately, I don't get to go everywhere the art goes. I wish. I want to go along, but no. But it's just, and I've met so many incredible artists, so many incredible people, and whenever I first started painting, I thought my blindness made me different than everyone else. And I felt very isolated, angry, depressed, alone. And I'm obviously happier now. So what happened? And a big part is the people around me and the artwork. And, it's just, it's just an incredible thing. And artwork can do that to you.
Yeah. So Aaron Schock has joined us and says a big thank you. This is great information, empowering. Michael McCullough has joined us.
Hey.
Let's see, he's mentioning sanitizer. Smell some cheap sanitizer. And then let's see, he had an experience with sculpting as a teen and loved it.
Oh, that's cool.
And Mindy Duran Keen has joined us and says hello. Super excited for this. # blind and proud of it.
Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you that can't see that they are me right now, I'm doing the whole quarantine growing your hair out thing, and my hair is getting taller and taller on top.
You don't have the Conan going. So
I feel like I'm turning into Conan O'Brien. I wish I was getting taller, like not just my hair. I wouldn't mind being like 6'4" or something.
But you're at least your hair is filling out evenly. Some people, it's scraggly. It's
crazy. Thanks. Before
but
this is over, I'm going to be 7 feet
well.
tall. And 12 inches of it is just going to be this pompadour that keeps going up.
And I should say this is after a full day of crawling under our camper to like cover it, and it's been a crazy day.
It's a humbling experience to realize you don't know how to do basic things.
So
being able to put a piece of cloth over a camper.
Michael says Paulette says hi, so thanks for watching.
Well, hey Paulette.
And Vera said, I saw many paintings of Caravaggio in the Museum of Madrid, Prado's museum in February. So.
Well, now I'm jealous.
I know.
So you're banned from the stream. I'm jealous of you. You must go away. No. I want to say again for anybody that's just joining, we're going to blindfold Jackie in a little bit, and she's going to paint without sight.
Mildly embarrassing.
Oh no, it's going to be brilliant. But it's funny. It's funny because we've done this. I mentioned a little bit, like tens of people. Over the years, like the first time we did this workshop was with 1,500 people, the first day, and that was just that was Art Break in Shreveport. Yeah, that's right. And so we started with a bang, and it's funny, our friends, I guess we're strange or something because we got back and they said we blindfolded all these people. And it was mostly children for that. It was a lot of adults, but mostly children. And they're like, "Oh, so what did you do?" Like we met at the local pub or something. And they're like, "So what did you do last weekend?" And we're like, "Oh, we just blindfolded children." And they're like, "Oh, cool, all right." They're just that was like a tease. Like you were supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to follow that up with some questions.
Well, Michael says, Paulette says your hair was. Paulette says your hair has a nice bouffant.
Thank you. It's inspired by Big Boy, I think.
And it used to be longer.
Yes.
You used to have very much longer hair.
Yes, it did. In fact, I used to have long hair kind of, and then it would kind of, and from very long to like Beatles long to long.
And then
but,
short when we started working on a mural in June.
Yes. I was working on it, in the summer, and it was on a mural, and the wind was blowing my hair around. It kept hitting me in the eyes, and I was like, nope. So.
Well, Lita has joined us as well and says you two are awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Should I talk about how I got started with this?
Yes.
A little bit, and then let me get it.
Because I could show material, then mix it while you talk about that.
Yes.
Okay,
you know what? Let's do that in just a minute.
Okay.
Because when we're talking about color and stuff, that probably make more sense.
Cool.
But guys, I'm going to make this kind of brief because I just don't want it to lag too much with you guys. But ask any questions that you want. But whenever I first got the idea of being able to paint, well, I should say, like, I've drawn all my life. I think I could draw before I could walk. As far back as I could remember, I drew. But I'm a nerd, so I read every book I could on it. Took every class that I could. And so I learned how to do portrait drawing, how to do caricatures, how to cartoon. Took classes on drafting to be able to make blueprints for houses, exploded views of engines, all this very detailed sort of stuff. But I didn't think I'd be a good painter, so I didn't paint. I just drew, graphite, all those different things. And then it wasn't until I was in college that I ended up losing my eyesight, and I didn't think I would ever be able to draw again. It wasn't even a thought. It was something that I literally did every day. I was sick a lot as a child. Art, drawing was my way of just working out of stuff, but it was also my way of thinking. So if I had to draw, write a story for English, I would draw it out first. If, I would just doodle. I would, every job I ever had, I can go back and got books of doodles.
We have some of your old drawings in the shed in the back, and you were really good from the beginning. So
thank you.
There is that.
No, but I appreciate that. But my drawings were never for anybody. They were just for me. But I did it every day, and it was just something that I did. It was just my way of thinking. So like you watch TV, you doodle. Always had a pad in my back pocket. I usually had a paperback novel and then a little pad of paper.
You are a nerd.
Yeah, I was a nerd. I still am. But then in college though, I was so fortunate because after losing my eyesight, before that actually, when I found out that I was going to be, I was already enrolled with the Office of Disability there at the university, and I went by there, and Ron Venable was the president, or the head of that, dean, president, whatever they're called.
The director.
The director. Thank you. I knew it was hair director. Yes, he was the guy, and I was like, Ron, because I have epilepsy, so I was already listed there, and they're already giving me help, and I was like, I'm gonna have to leave, and he was like, no, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. The technology that's out there is crazy. All this stuff. Don't worry about a thing. You don't have to leave school. And I thought he was so nice just to try to make me feel better, to lie to me, because I didn't believe anything he was saying. I just thought he was being nice, but he was so emphatic I couldn't, I had to stay. So, but I started learning a lot of different things. But I'll gloss over all that, because the main thing that I was learning really was orientation and orientation and mobility training, or O&M for short. So I learned a lot of things, but it was O&M that really paved the way for learning how to draw again. And it took about a year for me to travel independently. So for that first year, people would help me to classes. I would have sighted guides or something to take me to classes, but I was learning the cane all the time, especially at night. Like I would tap, 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 in the wee hours of the morning. If you walked out of your house in the wee hours of the morning of Denton, Texas at that time, you might hear a strange tapping. It grows louder as it comes down the street. You're like, what is that? It was probably me. Tap, 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 learning. And so finally, after about a year, I could leave my apartment and then find the right, find the campus, be able to cross the streets and stuff, and then be able to find the right building on campus, and then be able to find the right classroom in the right building on the campus, and finally, the penultimate, be able to find the right chair in the right classroom in the right building, and with all that without knocking over too many people or getting hit by a car. And I started thinking, one day when I was walking to school, I thought, this straight curb that I'm walking down is so much like you're just walking on a line. I mean, whenever you're doing O&M, you're just following lines and other lines, and you're making mental maps, or what I forget the full big term, but it's a spatial map, but it's a I forget what the big word is.
Spatial orientation or
Well,
orient.
yeah. It's but there's a I don't know. There's a word that if you're an O&M specialist, it's probably on a test. So so you gotta learn it. But basically, you're learning how to orient where one thing is in relation to another in space. So I was going down this curb, and of course it goes right to another curb where another street crosses. And where the intersection is, exactly where in the city you are. You can't be anywhere else. You're right where those two streets cross. And I thought, well, this is so much like two lines crossing on a drawing, which gave me the idea to go back home and to start drawing. But here, let me show you really quick. So this is a cane on a street. So basically, with a cane, what you're doing is it's letting you be able to touch the ground without having to nail down and just scamper along with your hands on the ground. You're reaching out. There's all these different techniques to be able to work the cane, but basically you're finding like cracks. You're finding the curb, the lines of the curb, and all this, and then you're making that map and you're going along. And anything that you find that's different. Whether it's like a big crack in the ground, so you're going along and it's somewhere and it's a sidewalk you walk every day, you hit that big crack, like, oh, hey, I'm halfway there, because there's that landmark. Or maybe it's a fire hydrant or, or something. But trees that are there, like, well, here's some bushes. I know those bushes. I know exactly where I am now. And it's the same way in a house. In a house, like you're trailing walls, you're trailing the back of a couch. A lot of times you're walking around and people don't even realize you're trailing, that you're using your foot. You're putting your foot out as you're walking. You're lightly grazing something. All of it though is you're just making this sort of map. Now, if you travel with a guide dog, it's the exact same thing. So I'm going to show you. Look at this hippie. Okay.
Speaking of, Michael says getting some rockabilly about your hair.
I'm telling you, yes, if I could play the guitar, I would definitely rock me some Billy. No, I would rock me some rockabilly. Rock me some Billy. That sounds wrong.
That's ridiculous.
It sounds so
anyway,
wrong.
That's you and
Yeah,
Echo.
and this is Echo, and Echo is still with us. She's my retired guide dog, in the Animal Hall of Fame. Amazing, very, very old now. Asleep, snoring like a freight train, about 4 feet away from me right now.
She's
actually, all the dogs are around them. Chip's in Eagle's bed, and Eagle's over here, right next to me. But Echo though, but that handle that you can see. So the guide dogs wear a harness, and they have the handle. And can you see that the handle is offset?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can see her handle. Yeah.
Okay. So with this, the handle is offset, so it goes right over her spine. So when you're walking down the street, you're barely holding onto the handle, but she's feeding you all this information. So it's just like the cane. So the way that you walk with a guide dog is the same way that you walk with a cane. And I just mentioned that because the techniques are the same. And look, I just want to show some more of Echo. She's getting so old. I just want to remind everybody, she's still relevant. She's still here. But
she's the one in the Hall of Fame, not the other one.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say she's the one in the Hall of Fame, not you.
Or you.
So I was like, well, this is true. But you don't have to bring it up, but it's true. But here she is at a gallery show that I did. One of the reasons Echo's in the Hall of Fame, and one of the things that I love about art is that art, anybody can do it. Art is for everybody, and art has a way of pulling yourself out of yourself in a way, of being able to open yourself up. So a big part of what we do is we go to children, we go to classes and stuff, and I'll let you on a well-known secret. The kids could care less if I'm there. It's all about the guide dog. I think if we just dropped Eagle or Echo off at that as school,
that's how we keep them under control, because
that's true.
It's usually like, if you behave, you can pet the dog.
That's true. That's true. Exactly. I say if you're really, really good, then you can say hi to the guide dog at the end.
That works like a charm. We should have creatures with us all the time.
I'm telling you. Well, I do actually.
Well,
come to think of it, I do. But so that's the basic idea with all that.
Cool. Well, I want to say really fast, Maria McNamara, which I am totally mispronouncing that.
McNamara?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, I bet you're right. Hi from Ohio.
Well, hi.
And beautiful fur baby.
Oh, thank you. Here, I think I can pull up another fur baby.
Oh, see, that's the monster.
That's the eagle cam.
This is
but that is not an eagle person. The eagle cam, that's a chip.
Chip.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
Yeah, she's.
That's the crazy one.
Yeah, she definitely puts the baby in fur baby.
Well, Chrissy Harkin says, Jackie, I'm going to try along with you, and
Really?
mine likely will be a disastrophe. I like that word. But I'm going to try. I think it'll be helpful for me to get out of my perfection mode, which I want to. I want to like definitely emphasize that the whole act of painting blindfolded is, if you're not practiced in it for a while, is a release of control. So it is a good exercise if you're a perfectionist and you just need to like free up that kind of part of your brain.
That's true. I've heard kids, most kids, especially if they're younger, they dive right in, and a lot of adults do. But I've had adults describe painting with a blindfold as being very free and liberating, and like they felt like they were at a day at the spa. And and I've heard other adults express it as being one of the most nerve-wracking things because they don't know what they're doing and everything's like.
Yeah. Well, and Michael McCullough says you really have to touch his paintings, which he's referring to your paintings. And he really likes the glass layered ones. Those are his favorite.
Oh, thank you.
And Sean
Michael.
King said, yes, mental maps. That's what made the connection for me on how you paint.
Ooh.
So
that's awesome. And I should say this workshop that we do, like I get asked so much, how do you paint? And they're like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Then we'll do a workshop, and then within 5 minutes, it's like the light bulb goes on, and people are like, "Ow!" It just all clicks.
I mean, it's
suddenly,
a lot of practice.
Well, yeah, and it's a lot. But the basic idea is because the thing with art is if you can do it a little bit, you can do it a lot. You just keep doing it, and you just keep, it's like, if you can make a little bit of a line, then the next day you just keep adding to it,
Yeah.
So I have something here, and we'll start doing. We'll do your thing in just a second, because I wanted to show really quickly, and this is something that Jackie is about to do when she's doing her workshop. When I first started drawing, I made very simple drawings. So the drawings that I did in the beginning, like this would have been a crazy complex drawing when I first started trying to relearn how to draw. Mm-hmm. And what this is, if for anybody that can't see it, it's 3 trees in the background, and they're just sort of stick trees. There's a horizontal line going along about the bottom third, and this is all with raised paint. So I don't.
It's here. I'll hold it up on my camera. It's called Slick Paint. It's a Tulip product.
Oh, thank you.
And this is what we use to do all the raised line drawings. And you just for the workshops. Yeah. John doesn't use this on his paintings because he doesn't.
I used to.
Yeah. But it's great if you want to do this leave a prominent raised line, and it takes about 20 minutes to dry. So it's really great. You can do a whole set of them, leave them to dry, and then use them the next day for your classroom or workshop.
You cannot imagine the amount of hotel rooms that we've had spread with it, and it's just seats covering every. It's like, we can't move for 20 minutes. We're just stuck here.
Yeah. And I'm sure the cleaning staff has had some comical reactions where they're like, "What?
What?" Yeah, I think it's just like looks like it snowed in there. I guess all the white paper. And there's a figure, like a little boy or little girl that's holding a balloon that's coming up in this drawing that I'm holding. And it's a white canvas and all the lines are drawn in that paint in black. When I first started, though, I was trying to draw things like squares and circles and triangles, and I was sweating bullets. I mean, it was like I was out jogging or something, which at least I imagine. I don't know what jogging's like, but I imagine I would be sweating. I'm not a jogger, but because there was just so much concentration trying to get it right. So this is kind of what I started with, and then this is actually a drawing that I had for a workshop that I was doing, and let's drop. And then what we start doing is we start adding color into it. So you can feel like some of the different areas. So you can think, well, I can feel like a big open area right here. So you just add color into that. So what I have on here is a very similar drawing. And there's yellow that's starting to go into the background. And with this, it's the same way that a sighted artist will work. With a sighted artist, you use your eyes to see where you are. And then you can use your eyes to see where you've been. And that's really your eyes do 3 things when you're painting. That's 2 of them. If you're visually impaired, you use your hands, your sense of touch to find out where you are. And you can remember where you've been. But to use your sense of touch. So with this, I can feel like where I am on the drawing. I can feel everywhere that I put paint, it leaves a texture, so I can feel everywhere I've been. And I can use different kinds of paint to leave different textures, and that's like leaving more and more landmarks. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you start being able to leave better landmarks, and more. So this is a kind of a final one. So it's sort of an idea of that simple. You know what? I was holding it over here. Could you see it on the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just realized that. Yeah. Sorry guys, if I'm like, everybody look at this painting. Take a good look. So anyway, gosh, guys, I'm sorry, I've lost my mind. Anyway, on this one, it's a background. It's a little bit more of an atmospheric background, with lots of purples and blues and some darker blues. And then when you get down to the bottom, there's like pinks, and then there's oranges and yellows. So it's almost like a skyline. And then on the very bottom, it's all done in black, like a silhouette. There's a dog that's sort of a silhouette of a German Shepherd type dog or a cow dog. It's really up to the viewer to make that up. There's probably a boy or a little girl holding a whole bunch of balloons, and there's just tons and tons of balloons that are floating up on a string. There are lots of different colors.
This was because John did a painting for the Cook's Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, and it was called Wanna Play, and it's an elephant. I think we talked about it last show, actually. Oh. But that was the painting that you brought to do in front of with all the kids, I believe.
That's right. Because that's right. Oh, I love your memory. I love that things can happen and you remember them.
Imagine that.
But yeah, it was so great because all the kids that they came down and they painted with us in person, but then they cast it through the CCTV, so all the kids could follow along if they wanted to, or be able to paint from their beds.
Yeah.
And this I have here is the new way that I draw, which I'll show in a little bit. Before I do that, though, we'll go over there and we'll hit up with the Jackie cam and find out what you're doing. But so this is just a really quick sketch of Vinny Vingo, or Vincent Van Gogh.
So this is not using the slick paint. This is using your
using paint that I draw with now.
Can you show it? Like, can you hold it up to the camera? The paint that you used for that.
Oh, sure. Well, it's actually I mix it. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna lean away. Okay. Well, it's in this bottle. But you can't really see it because it's in the bottle. But I mix it. Within this bottle contains a secret mixture. No, but I'll tell you guys how I mix it and everything. But the benefit of this though is that it makes the paint. It feels kind of have a rubbery, sort of sticky kind of feeling, but it's very thin. And the brilliant thing about that is that it opens up a whole world of different techniques where you can do washes and glazes, and you can paint thick if you want to. And if you cover it over it, you can put another layer, like you can make a different color of it. So you can actually have like paintings, and then have drawings on the paintings that people can't see, but you can feel because it's sticky and it feels a little different. So you may be able to have the hair, and then you go in with the same color, but you put the little mixture of stuff in there, and then suddenly you can feel that.
Yeah.
So anyway, little tips and tricks.
Kevin Donnelly has joined us and says you would be a real stud if you could jog while you were blind and painting.
Oh my goodness! You know what? That I would be. What do you mean? I would be a stud. Don't you mean more of?
More of, yeah. There you go.
I made myself laugh. You know what that reminds me though is that Monty Python skit where it had all these painters, had like Picasso and Van Gogh and all that, and they're in a bicycle race. And they're having to paint while they're trying to.
Yeah, that's.
They're like, yeah. and here comes
That's hilarious.
And here comes Pollock around the corner, and then he's really throwing the paint around, and but he's not really nailing that impressionistic style though.
That's funny. I forgot about that scene. That's hilarious. And Karen Lunkin has joined us and says, "This is cool. I have seen some of your paintings at Marilyn's house."
Well.
So very
Thank you
cool.
so much.
And then Celine has joined us and says, what kind of paint do you use to feel when you are doing murals? How does it not come off the wall? And yes, your fur babies are adorable.
Oh, thanks. That's a really good question. I didn't even think about talking about murals. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. That was a real stickler. I'm sorry, I'm just getting my
your coat
my bouffant
in place.
Yeah, trying to. So. That it was a pickle whenever we first started doing that, and I wasn't sure, but I was lucky in that some of the paints feel a little different. So the paints that we use on the walls are really high quality, super expensive paint.
It's like a masonry stucco that you buy at Lowe's. I mean,
yeah.
it's specific for brick.
And whenever we did like the last 4-story mural, we actually bought the company out of paint.
Yeah, we
that.
bought all the Home Depots out of their paint, and then we had to wait. But
yeah, it was Bear brand, but it's such a like a type of paint they don't make that much of. That Home Depot, like we'd go from Home Depot, and they'd ship it to different ones, and we'd go and pick them up. But then they actually contacted them, and they're like, we don't have any more.
Yeah, because it's funny. I mean, and people who've painted houses probably know this, or painted walls. You have to get a deep base versus like a flat base or whatever. And so if you want, nobody paints the brick of their house like dark colors or weird colors. So getting a deep base is really uncommon. So that was hard for us to find, but
it worked out really nice though, because this paint would soak in. The idea is that it kind of soaks into the brick, so it becomes like a part of the brick. But the black though felt different. So the black paint that we had, it was more sticky and stuff. It just happened to be like that, which was great, because I was wondering, what in the heck can I mix with this paint? Because the murals are supposed to last like 30 years, and it'd be so embarrassing if after like year 4 or year 5, all the lines of the painting like went off, just fell off like a giant ribbon. That would be
terrible. Well, and you don't want like the sun. Yeah, you don't want the sun to bleach out the colors and everything. So you have to use what is for the wall.
Yeah. So we made sure like to get these in a little bit of experimenting. Like we used some different on one mural, and then so we found the stuff that works, but fortunately, because there are different kinds of paints to put out there, that we don't try to mix them together or anything, but you can get a difference in the feel. Sorry, I feel like I really went off on that.
Well, and really quickly, let's see. Sorry, let me go through the comments before I get lost on them. But so Mindy says, we just got our Wanna Play painting. Absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Yvonne says, John, I love the mermaids so much. I can't wait to get my commissioned painting of the Delaware Bay. Her pup on the bay.
Oh my goodness.
And Sean says, how long does it take the mural and how many people to get it done, I assume. But yeah.
Oh, well.
That process.
Yeah, it depends. Like we usually it's just me painting. But there's always, it's always 2 people at least, because it's me and Jackie working together, and that's actually fun. It's one of the things I really love about murals, especially the big ones, is that if it's a big one and I'm on a boom lift, then we both have mics and like a walkie-talkie sort of set up, so that I can talk to her on the ground, and then I have the but I'm painting the whole thing. This last mural that we did in Bishop Arts, we had a really great artist, and oh my gosh,
Dan Black.
Dan Black, yeah. He came in for one day or part of the day.
He was there for like 3 or 3. No, he was there for 2 days.
2 days. 2 days, yeah. Came in there for 2 days because I worked out I had the painting all on canvas, and he helped put down some of the initial black lines on it, so that whenever I got up on there, I'd be able to.
Because I'm scared of heights.
So yeah, because that was a big help, because once I did some of the lines, and he did like the initial some of the lines and it. So with that one it was a little different because we had Dan for a couple of days, which was really
awesome.
nice. Yeah,
it was awesome.
And he's a muralist, and that's one of the things. Like the first mural, the first mural I did was Tony Rubin.
Yeah.
Which is just a phenomenal, like really renowned muralist. I was able to work with him on my first mural, which was a huge honor.
He does the sides of like major buildings in Manhattan and stuff. His stuff is real.
In Europe, he goes all over the place.
Icelandic looking.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. He's so nice, but I did my part of the wall. He didn't touch my part, and I didn't touch his part. But we kind of did a collab thing, and so that was cool. So I've been able to work with some really cool peeps.
Well, Betty Lancaster has joined us as late to the party, but here.
Oh, you know what? You're just in time for the best part, because Jackie is about to get messy, and it's been like 30-something minutes.
I know. We need to get started.
Yeah. I get so excited, guys. I apologize. I run off. I know. Well, I get excited about this sort of stuff.
And then Cindy Lang has joined us and is waving hello. And then Maria asked, does it help keep it from fading? The specialty, I assume the specialty paint that we were talking about. It does.
So like the paint that we got is rated for at least 30 years. Like, and but it's paint that was meant to be put on bricks. So like if it's on other things, it doesn't work quite as well. But on bricks, it actually kind of it bonds with the brick. So that's the idea. So it keeps it from like fading and from peeling and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice.
Totally.
I want so let's get started with this because while you're doing that, we won't be able to read comments for a little bit because you will be in the blindfold.
I will be blindfolded.
But I'll start talking about color and some other things a little bit while you're doing that.
I want to talk really quick because I want
to take your. It's your you do you.
It's my show. Okay, so whenever part of doing these workshops is it becomes a very multi-sensory experience. So we don't just do the blindfold painting. I mean, depending on what people have us out for, we either will just do, a quick 15-minute blindfold painting, or we'll do a full workshop where it's multi-sensory or multimodal or incorporating the art from the actual museum or whatever. So, for example, some things that we use are, and we bring this usually with us, are different things like scents. So we'll have everybody grouped up or sitting at their table, and we have these little jars that have scents that are put onto cotton balls, and we put these out on the table, and we invite the people to smell them, not grab them with their hands because it's all covered in oil, but smell them. And then we have a group kind of discussion about the colors that come to mind, or what it makes you think of, and the imagery. So that kind of grabs your senses. And if it's about a particular painting, we might pull smells from that time, like frankincense. I think we did for that Pope one. I don't even remember, but
yeah, and you can get all kinds of smells too, like saddle leather and grass and trees and
and so another thing we do is just to involve the sense of touch. We have these bins that you can get off Amazon. They're these little like cubby hole bins, and there's a hole in the top, and they fold down, so they're really they can fit into our suitcase, which is fantastic. But then we just like have people reach in them and then feel an object inside, and then they describe it or have a conversation about what they feel. And sometimes we have them actually try to draw it just by touch. So it's trying to kind of release that control of having to visualize something. But and it's little objects like this one. I'm gonna create a mess. This one has just like a little cake thing in it. And people just feel it and talk about it. So
pretty cool, man.
Okay.
And that seems simple, but it's funny just adding these little elements in. It just makes it a lot more fun.
And I'm definitely glossing over this. Like we have little activities that go along with everything, but that we don't have
jelly beans and music. We do all kinds of
exactly. So
but that's great that you pulled that out though. Just to give an idea that you can do an art workshop, and it's not necessarily all about painting. It's about
painting regardless is all about you want to involve all your senses. Like you've gone and taught at university classes, and you're amazed that the artists, the students don't go up and feel the like porcelain statues, different things like that.
Yeah, what's up with that?
So okay, so for the blindfold painting, what we use, and I'm going to try to be a little specific about this because a lot of people email and ask.
Do you want me to pull it? Like, I don't know if your computer's still in the way.
Actually, yeah, if you can pull up the overhead camera, that would be great. Okay, let me move this out of the way.
Bum bum bum.
Hopefully I don't disconnect everything. Okay, so what we do is, the first thing is we start with a raised line drawing that usually John draws, or I draw if he's really busy, but it's using this tulip paint, okay? And then we just draw a very simple sort of drawing, which you can see this is like literally a flower in a vase. And I don't know how well you can see it, but there you can feel it, like it's blatantly a raised line. And we try to keep it simple because for the first time you're blindfolded, it's a little nutty. But so we have this. Here. We do this a day ahead of time.
Here, I'll make it bigger.
Oh, thanks. We do this a day ahead of time so that it has time to dry overnight, and then we take like however many students are going to be there in the workshop. Okay, so then for the paint part of it, we just use these washable poster paints, which, I guess I'll do this like this. Washable poster paints, and just depending on how many students you have in a group, that will vary on how much paint you need.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's like maybe a teaspoon or so, for each kid. And I mean, And that's one of the things too, isn't it? That this is an expensive workshop to do, and it's something like if your kids are being homeschooled right
Yeah.
now or something.
Yeah, that's true.
You can definitely. It's really easy to do.
Yeah. So and we just do this because we're keeping it simple and we're just introducing the concept to people. We just keep it simple with the primary colors. So we have blue, the red, the yellow, and then we use white so that they can get a little bit of tone going on in their work. So just primary colors, and again, it's just poster paint, so it's washable. Then we mix the different paints with textures. So for example, the red is mixed with sand, which I'll hold this up to the camera, but it's just literally play sand. I mean, that's all it is.
Let me interject really quickly because I just want to let people know, like my paintings that I do in my studio, I don't mix sand or any of the other things we're doing. We're using this stuff because we just want to make sure that the kids don't have any allergic reactions. And while you're painting, I'll actually show the mediums that I use in my paintings. But it's the same ideas. I'm just mixing stuff in the paint so it feels different. But I don't use sand or birdseed. We just don't want to give strange mediums like with all these chemicals to children, and you never know.
And you're just trying to do an exercise. You want to keep it, a little less expensive than the mediums can be.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. So and again, this is what we mix in the yellow, and this you can see is just birdseed. So it's that fine birdseed. What do you call that?
Millet. Mm-hmm.
Millet. Okay. So it's millet. It's not the sunflower seeds, the sun giant stuff. It's just the yellow sort of millet. So we mix that in the yellow, and then in the white, we just mix flour. Your typical flour.
And that just makes it nice and thick.
And that makes the white really thick. And then in the blue, I leave it completely plain because that makes it really slippery. So white has flour, making it thick. The yellow has birdseed, making it lumpy. And the red has sand, making it gritty. Okay? You got to remember all that when you're feeling all your different textured colors, and that's where the practice comes. That's why John's so good at it. I'm about to make a fool of myself.
I do a lot. Oh, yeah. I do a lot of practice.
And then, of course, on hand, within reach, the most important thing are the baby wipes. Okay, so definitely keep the baby wipes. And then what I do is I already have them in like little cups, like the colors, and I'm about to mix them. But and then after that, I will put it like a palette, a dollop on my plate, and then make sure I know where everything is. Put my blindfold on, and I will start painting.
Oh, great!
So do you want me to start doing this?
Yeah, if you want to.
This is gonna be nerve.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
One of the things that I tell the students or whenever we're doing this workshop is to go slow. So the slower you go, the easier it is. And also on the paper, whenever I do a painting, I'm always the one that makes the drawing. I know what to expect because I put the lines there. But with a workshop like this, the person that's sitting down for it, they didn't draw the flower or whatever it is that they're going to paint. So it's nice to be able to feel it with your eyes open. If you're sighted, you can feel the flower. You can, if you're not sighted, just feel the flower, and you become used to it. And then and find a place like maybe at the bottom of the painting or the paper where if you get lost, you can reorient. You can find the bottom of the paper and maybe like where the flower stem comes down or where the vase is or the horizontal line or something is. Just that way, if you get lost and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know where I am, then you can always go back to that spot and go like, oh, okay, well at least I know where I am now. Is it getting crazy over there?
It's a little nutty.
Oh, and I'll tell you this, if you ever travel to these workshops,
oh my goodness,
don't put flour in a baggie and try to go through airport security with it.
You will get stopped for sure.
You will get stopped, but you end up having interesting conversations with the guards, and they're all so far.
One TSA agent was telling you all about his like acting career.
I got invited to his gigs.
The probe.
They're like, what is this? It's like flour, and he's like, oh, okay. And they were cool. They just had to test it, but
Right.
So, but anyway. Best just to leave that in your checked luggage. The other thing, so the first thing is to fill the drawing that you're working on. Really, get to know, because even though it may look like a cartoon flower, when the blindfold goes on, everything starts becoming a lot harder. But the main thing to tell somebody, if you're doing this workshop with your students or with children or yourself, or just is that the goal of this workshop isn't to come up with an incredible, amazing masterpiece. If that's what you end up with, that's great. It's icing on the cake, but it's not the goal. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to experiment, to have a little fun, and to see if we can use another sense in place of the usual sense that we use. So we're trying to see if we can find our place, even a little bit, if we can find out where the petals are, or if we know if we're on the vase or not. And then to be able to tell color without using your eyes to be able to tell color. Because if you can tell the difference between red and blue by using your sense of touch on day one, just imagine how well you're going to be doing on a day 1001.
Yes. So let me do the comments really fast. You can answer them while I paint.
Okay.
Sean says, so you may paint a section, then dry it and paint another section. And then he says, are your original paintings textured? So we're really fast before you do that. I'm about to start.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show everybody, got my palette. It's just the primary colors because this is basic. And then my white, which you can see, you can see it's real thick. The trick here is the baby wipes to keep your hands clean. And you can either do it with your fingers, if that makes you more comfortable, or like John does it, he has a paintbrush and he tries desperately not to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
And then just feels his way around it. I will probably have it all over me by the end of this. So
all right.
Bonus.
Yeah, because if you get paint on your fingers, you can't feel the details anymore. So okay. I constantly have lots and lots of rags and water and stuff. And Sean, thanks so much for joining, man. My original paintings were pretty thick, or some of it was. I would thin some of the paint down, but the lines at least were thick. And then some of the paintings I do today, I use a paint knife and I get really, really thick paint going. But it just depends. It's nice because there's different mediums, and I'll show them in just a second. And that you can actually change the way the paint feels. So if you're using acrylic paint, you can actually make it into a paint that feels like watercolor paint. Or if you want it to feel like oil paint, or it feels just like oil paint, it works just like oil paint. Or anything. How's it going over there?
It's nerve-wracking, man.
Just take a deep breath.
I think I painted the center of the flower blue, and I didn't mean to, but I had to go with it because that's where I was.
Okay.
That's just, I'm relinquishing control.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
What color did you mean?
I don't really know. Yellow, maybe? I think I'm going to do the petals yellow.
Well, listen, if it ends up not to your liking, then we'll just call it an abstract piece.
It's always an abstract piece. 9 times out of 10, these are abstract pieces.
Well, I think it's cool that you're doing that. It's hard to step out of your comfort zone. And it's one of the things that makes this such a wonderful workshop to do with children, is that you're forcing all of the kids out of their comfort zone a little bit, but also kids get into habit pretty early on to judging what they're doing, like their artwork. And there's some kids who are like, I'm just going to go crazy. I'm going to give it a go. But with this, you can't do it that way.
Oh my gosh.
And I forgot to tell one of the other things. If you're a sighted artist, you're used to just painting and drawing with one hand. With this, you have to use both hands.
Oh yeah.
So you're using one hand to attack like your eyes. So you're reaching, you're feeling where your paints are. You're feeling where the lines are. You're orienting to the paper. You're seeing where you want that brush stroke to go, and then you're using the other hand to paint with.
See, and I'm having to finger paint this because the brush is too complicated at that point.
Yeah, this is a hard thing that Jackie's having to do too. Is that we're only giving probably about 10 minutes for this. So if this was like an actual studio experience, you would probably set all your stuff up and you would give yourself at least an hour or two, to do something. So you could paint a little bit, you could let that area dry, then you go work on another area, go back and fill that area and see if you like what you did. If you don't, white it out, the parts you don't like, and put another layer down. But with this is just an exercise. This is just to be able to see if you can tell color and to see if you can get some idea of where to put it, if you can feel the lines. Because one of the things that I think makes this a really strong workshop too is that most of the people that do it have never, 99.999 out of the tens of thousands of people don't have orientation and mobility training. And yet within 5 or 10 minutes, all the people are painting. They can at least tell the difference between colors, and they can usually find out at least where some places are on the paper. And I think that's just incredible.
Yeah, and
it's amazing how plastic the mind is. I'm sorry.
Well, and no, I think it's nice to like break free of that perfectionist sort of control that I know this is going to be a hot mess. So so just doing an exercise that is messy and lets you kind of get creative, but you don't feel like, oh my gosh, it has to be perfect.
And that's a good lesson too. So like if going in that it's not going to turn out exactly the way you wanted, it's liberating in a way because you can just have fun with it. You don't, this isn't going to be your showstopper. This isn't going to be something, this is the artwork you hang on your fridge. And you when your friends come over and say, oh, I didn't know you had like a little cousin or something. You're like, oh, I don't.
What are you talking about? This is going on our fridge.
Yeah,
we are framing this.
Oh, heck yeah. So guys, so Jackie is using birdseed for yellow, sand for red, and flower for white.
And I moved, what is this? Oh gosh.
You know, if you want to get crazy, you can mix that lumpy paint, the yellow.
Oh, there's the gritty. That's what I was looking for.
And with the slick paint, you make some green. You take the gritty paint, mix it in with the slick paint, and get some purple.
Man,
get some purple violets over there.
Here, man. Baby steps. You know what? The gritty paint turns into a situation that makes a lot of things hard to feel.
Yeah. If you get it on your fingers, especially, and that's one thing that's hard about this, is that I keep my hands really clean, and it's hard to do when you're trying to paint an entire flower in 10 minutes, and you get the gritty on your fingers and birdseed, and you only have a wet wipe to try to wipe it off real quick. It's a challenge. But it's a fun one. But I want to mention really quickly the mediums that Jackie's using, like the textures, to change the way that the paints feel. It's the birdseed, it's the sand, it's the flower. In my painting, I mentioned that I don't use that. I use other types of mediums and whatnot. So let me show you really quickly. So here is one. This is a gloss medium, but I like it because it has this very slick, almost slimy kind of feel with the paint. So if I mix this in with the paint, it'll feel slimy. It will give it a gloss look, and there's other mediums I have that are matte. So whenever I finish a painting, I'll always varnish them and stuff, so it'll even out any of that matte and the varnish. I'll make everything look the same. One of the great things about these mediums that I use is that they help me be able to determine the color. So let me show you really quickly. My paints, I braille them. So like this is a fluorescent pink. I'll put that up there. I just braille the letters on here, so I know what tubes I'm getting. But then when I go to my palette and I start mixing the paints, that's where the mediums come in. Because if I want to make a gray between black and white, I'll mix a medium kind of like this one. It's really thick. It's a heavy structure gel. So I'll mix this in with the white, and it'll make the white feel kind of like toothpaste. With the black, I'll mix in something like this. It's a acrylic flow release, so it makes it feel kind of sticky and slimy, kind of like oil. So the white now feels like toothpaste. The black feels like oil. I have them both on my palette. I'm not going to get the two confused. They feel very different from each other. So if I feel the thick paint, I know what I have. But also when it comes to mixing color, if I want to make a gray halfway between the black and the white, I just mix for a texture that's halfway between. So it gives you a very great way to be able to control color. And it may seem limiting at first, but it's surprising though. You have over 200 touch receptors on the pad of each finger, and that really helps to be able to tell the viscosity, the looseness of something.
Okay, I think.
Oh, you getting there?
Well, I think I'm probably good. It's probably you gotta say when, because you don't want to ruin a masterpiece.
Well, all right. So you about to take your blindfold off?
Oh, that's questionable. It's bright in here.
Right here.
Okay, cool. That was
Awesome. Well,
I barely got any blue on there. All right, so
what color is your flower?
yellow.
Ooh.
And then I tried for the blue, but I guess I didn't put enough down. And then I tried to mix the blue and yellow to make the stem green.
Mm.
And then I got the vase reddish pink, and then the ground was kind of blue. So I never do this. I'd say the flower is pretty good. And then the vase is a little ridiculous, but it's a start.
I think that's awesome, man. I'll tell you what. If my first painting looked, I'm sure it is anywhere near as good as that, I would have been thrilled. You know, it's one of the things about artwork is that it's a progressive sort of thing, and painting is a verb. It's the act of doing it that's the most important thing. So if you burned every painting after you got finished with it, you would still have the benefit of the painting. Like you would still get the bulk of all the goodness.
It's about the process.
It is about the process. Painting is a verb.
And
it's
I really
not
think
something you just hang on the wall.
Yeah.
Painting is something you do.
It's funny too, because every time we do this exercise with kids or adults or anybody, the very last question you always ask the group is, do you think you'd get better with practice? And almost every time everybody's like, yeah, I think I would. So
and there's one kid that's like, no.
But I think it drives home the whole idea that it's not impossible. This is not an impossible thing. Like you can do it. And it takes practice, takes some time and dedication, and bam, you're a blind painter.
You know, and I'll be honest. I mean, if you're a sighted artist, it takes time too. I mean, it's funny. Like you have to train your eyes to do certain things. And what makes this different is that you're using your sense of touch to do the work that your eyes would normally do. So a lot of times there's a lot of catch up because at first you got to learn how to do that. You know, where people by the time they get into art, they usually have had years of seeing. Whenever you first start painting, you don't necessarily have that great visualization skills through your sense of touch.
Right.
But you know what?
You can take it off my overhead camera.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
I
have this painting over here. This is a really old painting. But one sec. I'm running over drawings. Okay. This is a really old painting, a perception series. Ta-da. Okay.
Okay,
I'm just going to back it up a little bit.
Back it up and pull it. Yeah, like the face. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to. Well, this isn't about what this painting looks like and all that. It's not about seeing the whole painting. So here's this. It's just about when I first started painting. So this is a painting that I just finished. It was a commission. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking the camera's over here, but so I just finished this painting. It's a lot of colors. It's a lot of detail. And I had a lot of fun working on this painting. We worked on it at the lake. Lots of fun. And I'm calling it The Mermaid.
The Mermaid.
Surprise. But it's but it was a commission. And that painting, I'm still learning. Like I'm still like, I'm trying out different techniques and all that. Now a painting like this, whenever I did this painting, this was as much color as I could use, and this was as much blending, which was zero blending, that I could do at this time. But when I first started drawing, though, it was squares, circles, things like that.
Yeah.
Very geometric, no blending. You know what? I'm so sorry. I should describe for anybody that has a visual impairment. This is a painting. It's a man's face, because I couldn't do like an entire portrait either. Like I could only focus in on, I can only make things so small. So at this time too. So this is a guy and his nose. It's an eye and a nose, and it's all kind of going off. And it's lots of browns, lots of burnt siennas, deep sort of muddy yellows and stuff. And I like this painting. I have this painting hanging in my studio, but it's very geometric. And then all behind him is almost like a camouflage khaki kind of pattern. So
yeah.
It isn't that, but it's just all these different colors sort of morphing. So if you know what a camouflage pattern is kind of like, where you have all these colors sort of weaving in amongst one another, but none of them are blending. There is no shading. Everything is separated. But at the time, like this painting took me a month to do, like a literal month of painting 12 hours a day.
And that was I mean, I think that was like 2007, 2009 that you did that series, and
Oops. Sorry, guys. I just
so
hit you.
yeah, it took a while for you to do a painting at that time, and now you're much better.
Yeah, I did 12 paintings a year.
Yeah.
And
So-
now I do a painting like every day, every 2 days, usually ish.
So let me do a couple of comments so I don't get lost. Kevin says, I would really like you to come to KC Public Schools and have a workshop. That would be awesome on the Missouri side.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Linda Smith said, looks hard, but I would love to try it.
Oh, nice.
Maria said, when drawing in class, we had a lesson where we drew the entire picture without taking your pencil off the paper, and it was upside down. So that sounds difficult.
That does sound difficult. Oh my
That's
goodness. There's blind contour drawing as well, where you don't look at your paper, but like you look at the subject, you don't look down.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was in grade school, we had to like draw our hand without looking, and it was crazy.
Oh.
And then Neelam Grawal, I may be mispronouncing that, said, you made this painting with my daughter when they came in the I believe Plano ISD. He said PISD.
Oh.
So yes, we have done this workshop with so many ISDs around this area. It's crazy.
That's so cool though, and well, thanks so much for remembering that and for joining us here today.
And Linda, one of our Patreons, joined us and says, thanks for showing and explaining one of your earlier paintings.
And thanks so much for commenting and these are our patrons. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting what we do and for everybody that and this isn't an advertisement or anything, but I just want to say thank you so much because everybody that likes or comments or views it means a lot and it actually helps. And because like whenever we talk to a school or something, if they come and they say, oh hey, people like what they do, and anybody that buys a print or anything, and anything, it helps. All the workshops that we do are free. Like the schools, we generally we work out, like they have grants and stuff, but anybody that takes a workshop, we don't charge anything ever for it. And usually if we're going somewhere for one workshop, we'll try to get with other nonprofits and charities and see if we can do some workshops with them as well. And just because this can be such a game changer. And I know you want to say something.
Well, I just want to go through some comments because
I'm
popped
sorry.
up a little bit. But Sean asked, "Are your original paintings textured?"
I did. I answered.
Okay, sorry. And then my mom joined, says, "Love watching people, especially children, do this. Great memories of Shreveport too." So
oh my goodness, yeah.
When we first started all of this, my mom went and helped out on these because we had 1,500 kids a day coming through.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Facilitate this in a giant thing, and it was a blast and a party.
Yeah.
So, and Sean said, "How does Jackie do with blindfold cane training? I didn't know that was a requirement to be married to you."
Oh yeah,
I've never done it.
Yeah,
What's your answer?
Yeah, you never did that.
It sounds nerve-wracking. I mean, again, you're relying on. I mean, even the dog. Like I would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it doesn't work with the dog either. It's like the dog really gets used to you being the person. So I've tried to show another visually impaired person what it would be like because they were interested in getting a guide dog. So I thought, I'll let my guide dog just guide him a few steps. Like I'll be right there and I'll hold on, I'll go along with him. And the dog just seems so. And I can't remember if it was Echo or Eagle, but they were so confused. Or like, why are you so far away? I can't guide you. I can't guide you if you're holding on to this person and they're holding on to me.
Well, and my mom said fridge art for sure. Thank you, Mom.
There we go.
I'll bring it to you Saturday. It's going to be your Mom's Day present. And Mindy said, would love to do this with our kids.
Oh, that's cool.
Sean says, what are good beginner paints for a blind person?
I would say acrylics. When I first started, it was oils, but that was just because oils are made with different things, so each paint feels a little bit different. But acrylics are so much better to start with because you don't need paint thinner or white spirits or anything like that to be able to clean them up. Just soap and water works, and that's awesome because when you're first starting, paint is going to get everywhere. Make sure anybody that lives in your house is okay with that because it's going to be a way. But acrylics are really great because they're easy to clean up. You don't have a long time setting everything up either. and they dry fast. And you can get a heat gun, or you can use a hair dryer, and you can dry them even faster, which is nice because oils take forever to dry. Sometimes with the black, it might even be months before the black is dry.
Oh
The ivory
yeah,
black.
yeah. Oils. Yeah, that's a learning curve.
Yeah, and
Sure.
depending on the weather, the acrylics can take a little bit, but you hit a zap them with a heat gun. And usually, sorry, I keep hitting this. It'll make a skin enough where you can touch it and it doesn't mush it around. And there's mediums and stuff that you can add to it that will speed up the drying even more. But I would recommend, if someone who is just getting into paints, whether you're visually impaired or not, get a white, a black, and maybe one color or two colors, and just experiment with that. There's a lot you can do. I mean, if anyone has ever seen black and white photography, there is so much emotion that you can exhibit by just using black, white, and gray.
And I think a lot of it is just getting used to it. Like I know for me, in doing that exercise right then, I would have felt more free to experiment more if I was comfortable within what I was doing. So the more I got used to it, the more you can branch out and then add colors or do something like that.
And look for your first mistake. Like every time when you start painting, get excited about the mistakes you're going to be making, because you're going to be making them, but it's good. Like you want to be making these mistakes. Like that's part of it. That's the big thing. And you need to be failing a lot at it. And I know that might sound like, oh, that doesn't sound like much fun. But it's a liberating thing, because when you're getting into it, you're just mixing it up. You're trying some things. Most of the stuff you're going to try isn't going to work, but that's because you're finding your thing. You're finding your way of doing it.
Yeah.
And most things aren't your way. Most things it's not you. So you're finding what works for you, and that's going to change over time. So a lot of the stuff that you're going to try isn't going to work. And that's a good thing. You just found something that isn't working for you, so you just keep mixing it up.
Keep trying different things.
Yeah, and also like I was saying, like that painting I did took a month. I wasn't moving and grooving at that point. Like I thought, man, this is something.
Yeah, because you had already had a gallery show or two under your belt.
Yeah,
and that was 2 years later.
Yeah, and I was painting for a show at a place in
Lake Charles.
Yeah, Lake Charles in Louisiana. And it took me 12 months to pay for the show for 12 paintings, which, yeah, for me now it sounds crazy.
Well, Janice Keen says, John, you're awesome. You're both awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And then Sean said him and his wife got about 10 people signed up for their future Lighthouse for the Blind Fort Worth class. So that's awesome.
Really? That's awesome,
Very
man.
Cool. And Gina has joined us and says, I'm about to mix sand, seeds, and flour into my paint and give it a go.
All right.
Share it. I want to see
that's
what
awesome.
you come up with. That sounds awesome.
If you put a lot of seed, though, just be careful where you walk outside. Get attacked by it could be an Alfred Hitchcock movie in the making there.
Yeah, you never know. And then Celine
Hitchcock
says,
would be proud.
where can we find out how to get into one of y'all's next workshops?
That's a good question. I have no idea because everything's been canceled.
Yes. Right now it's a little crazy. We typically do stuff.
I do know.
What?
I do know. We're going to do it online.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So, we're going to do some online stuff, but that's not been all worked out yet because we're still working it out. But.
Yeah. We're not sure. So we're actually some different organizations, some different places are wanting us to make videos and to do online stuff, but painting. I swear I can't think.
So yeah, I mean, like we typically do a lot of the workshops in October because that's Disability Month. But I mean that's like usually when or Art Beyond Sight Month, DMA will have you out to do a lot of stuff. But now with everything going virtual and people are trying out new methods to conduct these, we're gonna do it virtually. And I don't know, it should be interesting. It should be fun. I don't know if we'll have like kits that go out and then you conduct the workshop, or
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But we always post them on Facebook. So like if we're about to be somewhere, we'll post that we're going to be there, and especially if it's like an open workshop that we try to get people to sign up for. So definitely if you don't already, follow John on Facebook and you'll hear it there.
But we're definitely going to do some sort of workshops online, like on here on Facebook Live, and So we'll have to figure out how that's going to work, because we'll want to make sure there's a certain amount of people or want to do it, and that way it's fun because
Yeah, it'd be cool if there was like an interactive element, like we were able, like Zoom is nice that people can communicate. So if we could all like talk, it's not so much webinar because those can get stale.
yeah. So I want to work that out because I know I can Zoom from this.
Yeah. So,
And but so we'll have to work it out. But I want to do something here where if we want to, we can all work on a painting, like a real painting,
that'd be a blast. We'll figure that out. Well, Melissa,
like a paint and sip thing. Put on here.
Go. Heavy on the sip. All
Sorry,
right.
baby. I keep it.
Melissa Caldwell says, "Thank you so much from Vision Teachers in Atlantic Canada."
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then Kim Tyler says the mediums you use are all for acrylics? ? Can you get them at an average art store?
Yes and no. You can. You really can. The only bad thing about some of the acrylics is that they're expensive.
Some of the acrylic mediums.
I'm sorry. Yes, some of the acrylic mediums. They're all for acrylics. I painted with oils, like just oils, straight oils for 7 years. And then whenever my son Jack was born, because I was always getting paint on stuff, and some of the oil paints are very bad for you, and some of the stuff you use to clean them up and all that aren't great for you either. And I was so afraid I was going to get paint on the baby, so I started looking into other types of paints like acrylics, and that's what pushed me into it. And I love them. Oh my goodness! So the mediums that I use, probably one of the best ones I have is the Flow Release, and it's put out by Golden. You can get that on really.
You can get
any art store should have it,
anywhere.
and if they don't, you can get it on Amazon, Dick Blick, Cheap Joe's,
Jerry's
Artorama is good.
I would suggest though, Michael's has a constant. They have mailed coupons, and so especially with like some of the expensive mediums, you can wait until you get like that 50% or 40% off coupon that comes in the mail, or it's on their app on your phone, and then use that. I know I wait for when Canvas goes on sale, and then I buy them out. Every art student in Denton probably hates me because I buy them out when Canvas is on sale. It's a good deal if you're paying attention to the art stores.
This stuff is most of the mediums are really expensive, but you don't need a whole lot, especially if you're just starting with one or color or two, because the paint itself is a medium, and with it has a texture of its own. So you have that to start with. Some brands will have their paints will be a little bit different. So there's some like premium grades of acrylic paint that are thicker than maybe some student grades, which are just thinner. So right there, you off the bat, it's a little different. But if you do want to mix it, you can mix a little water, but you gotta be careful. You don't want to mix too much water, or it'll break down and it'll cause the paint to crack. But this is here, I'm gonna shake it near the mic. It's like water. It makes the paint feel like a flowy sort of satin. So very nice. I love it. This stuff, this is it's a heavy structure gel. So if you're gonna buy two, what I would recommend is this one hasn't been opened, so I'm gonna open it just for you guys. I'm gonna show you. It's like toothpaste, and you can get it thicker. Smells like
What does
glue.
it smell like?
It kind of smells like glue a little bit.
Oh yeah, the bonding agent or something.
I don't know.
Don't eat the paint.
I know. I know it's white when it'll dry clear, but it just makes I'm hungry. It just makes me think of, like,
Celine said Urit is a good site to save money on supplies, and she spelled it. I'm probably mispronouncing it, so let me spell it. It's Utrecht. So Google that.
I'll have to check that out.
I know, I've never heard of that, so that might be it.
I'm always looking for, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, and then I just wanted to say, Cindy Lang said, this has been so informative. I paint with a woman who is totally blind and plan to try some of these techniques with her. I have my vision and have learned so much just teaching her. Thanks again for all you two do.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. And so I want to remind everybody, we've been streaming. We stream twice a week. No matter what the topic is, if anybody ever has a question about wanting to paint or anything, it's always a good time to ask that question. So if you're working with something and you hit a stumbling block or whatever, you can always email us or whatever, or you can get on here and you can chat live and we'll try to work it out together. And the great thing about these chats and these streams is that I don't have all the answers, but somebody out there does.
Yeah,
You know?
and we also have the Facebook group, Drastic Art Members. So, get on that. And it's not even like today we were talking back and forth about acrylic pouring. So it's about anything creative that anybody wants to put out there and questions. So.
It's true.
Oh, look at the eagle cam.
It's all here.
It's always nice to end on.
Yeah, here. You know what? Just.
So you can look at my computer.
Oh, you know what? I forgot that it's sad, isn't it? I was gonna bring up the eagle cam.
Oh, there she is. She's the star.
Just so I could do the loves. Okay.
So next week we are going to. It should be fun. We are. John does these labels for a winery in Santa Monica. No.
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
But
sorry.
I forgot about this. It's gonna be fun, guys.
So. Yes, so they have him do the art, and then they create a wine that matches the label. So they're shipping that to us hopefully tomorrow, and then next week we're going to do a tasting, and we'll talk about that stuff, and you guys can get a kind of sneak peek, and we'll share all the links to the wine. And then I don't know what Thursday's going to be about, but maybe we'll mix it up and talk about controversial art or something.
I don't know. I don't know if it could beat Tuesday. I mean, we're going to be talking about wine. Brian Rice and his artiste winery is so cool because they, like you said, they actually instead of just getting a label for the wine, they pick the artwork first, and then they try to make the wine match the artwork.
Yeah, and some of the artists they have, because they have a collection of artists that do it periodically, and there's this one woman that paints with wine.
Yeah,
and her work is fantastic. So we'll share all sorts of information about that. It'll be a good show. It'll be fun. So. Tune in Monday.
Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this, and this has been a long one. So, thanks so much for looking at this, and I appreciate it. And I encourage you guys, get out there and just mix it up, make some mistakes, and with the paints, and don't worry about it. Just have some fun with it.
But first, like and subscribe.
Nice. I see what you did there. That's nice.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.